We are talking about this thing that many people call orality, which is basically how can we communicate in the ways that God put in us, in His image, to communicate our mind and our heart using all five senses so that other people can receive that truth or information, they can process it, they can remember it, and they will pass it on in ways they prefer and the people that we're around prefer. So how do we do that? How do we put together any kind of sermon series, lesson series, curriculum? I really struggled with that for a long time. Maybe you have too, because most of the training that we've had in either college, university, is designed for people who know how to read to learn. I took courses at the University of Kentucky in instructional design and asked Dr. Gary Anglin, who was the chairman of the department at that time, who can I go to? But this stuff that you're teaching me about instructional design is amazing. I wish I would have had this before when we were doing programs all over the world. But now, who can I go to who understands how to put together instructional, how to design instruction for somebody who doesn't know how to read to learn? Maybe they know how to, but they don't prefer to. So who can I go to who understands that? And he was the president of the association of those kinds of instructors at universities. And he looked at me with this blank look on his face and he said, I don't know anybody. Because all of instructional design courses in the university are designed to teach people how to read or how to learn from reading and the thought processes of reading. He said, somebody's got to do that. I hope you all will. So that's what this module is all about. How do we design instruction with a view towards not just people who do read, which we need to learn how to do better, but for those who don't read to learn? All of those have things in common. We have to have things that you probably already know. It has to have your topic, the issue you're dealing with. And then what are your learning goals? What do you hope to accomplish here? What are your objectives? How will you accomplish those goals? What are the outcomes? What does it look like when somebody tries to implement what we've given them in that sermon, in that lesson, in that series? What does it look like in their life? What's different? And what outputs do we see? It's one thing to say, I'm going to teach someone to play the piano, play the keyboard. In doing that, a learning goal might be they've got to know what the scale looks like on a keyboard. Then they've got to be able to develop the skill. We have that goal of being able to play that. Maybe we want them to be able to play Amazing Grace. So that learning goal and that objective and that outcome is there. They have learned to play Amazing Grace on the keyboard. But then there's the output. We want you to play Amazing Grace in a worship service at your church on any given Sunday. That is an output that can be observed and videoed and all those kinds of things. When we teach anything, how much are we thinking of those kinds of things? And then how do we put that whole lesson or session or sermon together in a way that brings transformation? Jesus, when He taught, always, people walked away and they understood His message, exactly what He wanted them to receive from it. Not only that, they knew how it was going to apply to their life and what they would do either to follow Him or not. Example, just before Jesus went to that last week of His life, He was in Jerusalem. The Pharisees, the teachers of the law, the priests were there questioning Him all the time. And He asked them a couple of questions, but then told them this parable of a certain king or a landowner who had this vineyard, and he went off to a distant land and he sent back his servants to collect the revenue from it. And when the people saw him coming, they eventually killed those that were coming for the money. He eventually sent his own son, and they killed him too. And he asked these leaders of the Jews, what should you do with that kind of person who's killed the son of this landowner? And of course they said, they need to be rid of him. And then they realized Jesus was talking about them. And they became very angry. And they went off and conspired because they got his message. They understood it. They rejected it, but they understood it. And they made a choice to do something, either to follow him or not. Now we know that people like Nicodemus wanted to follow him. Others, even of that leadership caste, wanted to follow him. Some did not. There's no guarantee that someone will be transformed for the good, but there is no way someone could leave Jesus' teaching without understanding the message and seeing how it applied to them. What can you say about your teaching? What can I say about my teaching? We call it Orality by Design. This module will lead you through the steps of how to put together any kind of sermon, lesson, curriculum, and make it stronger, not perfect, but stronger than what we are doing today. I hope you'll join us for Orality by Design. Thanks a lot.